Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I've been fighting off what feels like a cold or something for the last 4 or 5 days, and I'm at pretty much the peak of not feeling it today. All the same, I'm in a really good mood, so at the same time, I wanted to do the weekly Q&A, because that's what I do every week. It doesn't matter if I'm a little tired. You won't even be able to tell by the time we start, trust me. Anyway, we're just going to do the Patreon stuff and go right into the questions. There are quite a few of them. I'm going to spend more time on that. So first of all, there were a bunch of pledges in the last week. I don't know if I said something or did something in the last week, but holy moly, there were a bunch of new pledges. So reiteration that we have this Patreon, and I support and I shout these people out at the beginning of every Mondays with Mr. Happy. It's mostly just to support the YouTube channel because since hashtag demonetized, there's been a much lower income from YouTube altogether. It's increasingly hard to make money both from demonetization and from reduced payment from ad sponsors throughout more of the year. It's not terrible. It's gotten better in recent months, but it's still there, and that's the only reason it exists. So please, if you are supporting it, just know that that's exactly what it's for. I guess I almost feel bad that so many people just pledged in the last week because I'm not used to seeing that. So I'm giving you a full-on explanation so you know what you've gotten yourself into. Don't worry too much about it. Don't forget, I do Twitch, I do YouTube, I have the Patreon, I have my sponsor, SteelSeries. So just know that it's all good. You don't need to support it, but it's just there as extra. Okay? All right. Don't know why I made such a big deal of that, but now I've got a much longer list of names to read thanks to a bunch of $5, $10, and $25 sponsors that joined over the past week. So for anyone who didn't know, we thank them at the beginning of every episode, like I said earlier. We, of course, have our patrons of Light First, Khuja Cross on Jenova and Kurenai Oni, who have been massive supporters monetarily. They've also been by the streams constantly. They've been great members of this community, and they've supported us on Patreon a lot. So we always make sure to give them a very big, warm welcome. And it gets tiring week after week, I'm sure, to hear me say it, but I am grateful all the same. You know who else I'm grateful to? All the other people who are on this list. Holy moly, I had to add a bunch of names before I got started here. So first we have our standard sponsors for Mondays with Mr. Happy. We have John Ananon, and I hope that's the right amount of ons. We have Alburio, Santa Ashira of Brynhildr, Kromgar Holzborgson of Gilgamesh, Kevin, Wabatalia, Alma Elma, Dark Lumina from Jenova, Marianne, Ramil Gaming, Sabo Empire, Mizra, Red Wings of the Baron FC from Zalera, Cidus, Oreo, and Shiva, Syd Hellwind of Gilgamesh. You saw that? I lost my breath for a second there. Afro Ninja from Malboro, Cheesecake from Leviathan, That Lame Weeb, Ashen of Cerberus, Fafarian, Rendil, Stevie-Rex, and Neon. We have our elite sponsors, another tier up. We've got Benjamin, Irish. Oh, wait, what the heck? Why is your name completely wrong in this list? Hold on, I need to fix it. Irish. There we go. There's just a letter missing. Irish Rager, because you've been here before and you're back. So welcome back. We have George, Batar Garl, Yufu Akenshi on Gilgamesh, Scumlord, Itsumi Maria of Gilgamesh, Ravik, Cardrakens from Fanfrit, Sigurd Drake from Balmung, Edgefair on Ultras, Jerica, Emma, Zernik Borg 13, Krista Uzuki, Crazy Demeter from Midgar, Ryjaventinus from Cactar Carol, Serafina, Edalise, I'm getting rid of the... You actually commented, I already looked in advance, Serafina, and I saw that you commented below. Don't worry, people get it wrong all the time. I keep thinking it's Serafina Edalise of a server, and then I just realized that I've written down how to say it, and I'm just reading it twice. Whatever. Thank you. Senshi, Shadowlink on the Tonberry server, Dom, Asuka Wake from Jenova, Limilla Nelhah of Midgard Summer, Sarah and the Fennel family, Janhyua Yotsuyu, Kifka and the Great Eagles on Exodus, Kadeyoshi from Khuja, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rylanator Westaus The Purple, Adric Red Steel on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiac, Sour Cream and Chives from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Goichi Falfa from Siren, Phoenix Down of Sion Goblin, and Saren from Zodiac. Finally, we have our premium sponsors. We've got Noel, Sumbla, Nakuniyame, Shana Senpai of Behemoth, Zoshime Hasha of Fanfrit, Beatrice, Kazuzu, Vapatiam of Diablo, Shadow Ari of Brynhildr, Zeravire of Korwal, Alchemy, Shinko, Casual Heroes FC on Midgard Summer, Tatashak on Hyperion, Kana Uzuki of Jenova, Ustarla on Korwal, Sothal, Serafrost from Behemoth, Holy Tabasco, Crass 015, Serenity FC on Ultras, Cat Kazuma, Ignis Fagan from Excalibur, Blester of Fanfrit, Knockquarters from Excalibur, Corvus Moonscar, Private Mikey, Nonakir Sami, Rudy Rudiger, Killackman, Wall Jr., Nicoltastic Jones. I didn't want to do it. Didn't want to take a breath, but lost it at the very end there. Damn it. Anyway, thank you to all of our Patreon sponsors. You guys have been amazing. I don't deserve all of you who go that extra mile to give that extra support to the YouTube channel, but I thank you. It means a lot. So with that, let's answer some questions. Because I'm not feeling so hot, I may not answer as many this week, but we'll see. So let's get started. All right, so the first question I'm going to take, hey, Mr. Happy, question for you on this fine Easter Sunday. I keep forgetting it's Easter. I tried to go get coffee this morning, and I couldn't go to my usual place, so McDonald's. Anyway, happy Easter to you too, of course. In regards to your Twitch broadcasting experience, how do you choose your moderators and what expectations you have of them? This is an excellent question and one that has a lot of different angles, but I'll give the most basic version. So most of the time, moderators are completely a voluntary thing. You know, they're volunteering to do this extra work, and that's what it is for a moderator. People need to respect that moderators on any sort of live broadcasting, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, it doesn't matter. They're under a massive amount of stress because most of the time, if you're not the one taking the brunt of the force from a disgruntled viewer who doesn't agree with what you're doing or just wants to cause trouble, if it's not you taking it, it's them. And sometimes they have to be the bad guy and make a decision that is best for the channel. And you need to decide if it was a good decision, if you're going to back them for it, and you need to trust them at its core. So honestly, I look for people who are already kind of trying to do the right thing without being officially labeled as a moderator, because that's already showing that they're volunteering, trying to make the community a better place. And then just giving them the sword and being like, yeah, just continue doing what you've already done. And, you know, if I need anything, you know, I'll ask it of you. But because it's voluntary and most of the time unpaid, expectations can't be so crazy high. You know, you can't expect them to be there every day. You can't demand anything from a moderator other than at least being nice to other people. That's like the only one thing I'd say. Like, if you're going to represent my community, if I'm going to give you this, then you at least need to be respectful to people, even if it's something that may be, I guess, kind of bothering you. But then you're also making them customer service. So it's just so much work. But looking for kind people who are already actively making themselves parts of the community and are, you know, I guess almost taking up moderator privileges and then find themselves asking, where's the moderators? You know, those are the kind of people that you generally turn into a mod. I do wish I had the money to just outright pay my mods, man. Even just a little bit. If I ever end up in a monetary position to pay my mods, even just a little bit on a consistent basis, man, that would be great. Because they deserve, moderators for all sorts of content, they deserve so much more than they get 99% of the time. I'd argue my moderators deserve more than they get. Especially me, I become kind of a recluse when I'm not recording or streaming, or especially I guess when I'm not streaming, because I'm either working or I'm kind of just unwinding. So it's almost uncommon that I converse with them as much as I probably should. And to that, you know, I'm incredibly grateful that they stick around as much as they do. You know, I always make sure to converse with them as much as possible when I am able to, but a lot of the times I find myself not quite able to. So those are some of the qualities you'd look for in a moderator, and hopefully that helps you make a decision. Here's another this one's pretty easy compared to the last one. Hey, Mr. Happy, just want to ask if you think we will ever get a Kingdom Hearts collaboration since we're getting a near 24-man. Other than Final Fantasy and Pokemon, Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite games. Do you think it's possible or plausible? So I think in particular, Kingdom Hearts is a very tough one to expect. Disney is a very prominent factor in why. While yes, Kingdom Hearts is developed by Square Enix, it is published by Square Enix, the fact that it has Disney properties present means that Disney basically has the reins on that project and any sort of collaboration that's done with it. The few collaborations I have seen with Kingdom Hearts, such as Record Keeper, Disney is just plastered everywhere. And so I don't think Final Fantasy XIV would be willing to go that far, in terms of breaking immersion, to actually put copyrights all over the in-game text and everything, and they'd have to, because it would be something that Disney would want them to do. Even if it's just using Sora, Riku, Kairi, characters like that, you know, Disney still has a pretty big foothold on what happens there. So I think of all the things that could happen, I think Nomura being the art director of Eden is maybe the closest thing you'll ever see to having a Kingdom Hearts collaboration. Yes, it's not technically Kingdom Hearts, but Nomura's art styles is very distinguishable. So it at the most will feel as close as you're going to get to something Kingdom Hearts related. We've got another one of our common questionnaires here. Hey, Haps, I'm back from 15's episode Arden on PS4 because Final Fantasy 15 on PS4 at the 15th of April. I see. And I'm totally fine with Tenchi Jin Doton ninjas. There's a lot of comments about the Tenchi Jin thing I saw as I was scrolling through. I was talking about just the classic single target Dotons. And don't get me wrong, they're definitely out there. There is a situation someone brought up where if you have the tank pulling the boss into a Doton that's cast before the fight begins, and then the ninja uses hide to reset their cooldowns, or to reset the ninjutsu, that's an okay time for a single target Doton that's not Tenchi Jin. But this question, I saw one name and I had to take it. Do you think we will see Anima from Final Fantasy X as a Sin Eater? So Anima is a character that I've wanted to see introduced into Final Fantasy XIV for quite some time. I always talk about wanting to see good fan service done well, and ever since seeing the Crystal Tower, I had faith that for the most part they would. While Omega has shattered that a little bit, Anima is still at the top of my list in terms of both tragic and incredibly powerful character. And I don't just say summon, I don't just say primal. I mean, Anima, because of the core character of who makes that summon in Final Fantasy X, it has a lot of, I guess, deep implications for the story in that game, and I feel like it could be used very interestingly here. Now, your specific question is about Anima as a Sin Eater. Now, Sin Eaters are kind of like the light scent. We have Void Scent, which we've been dealing with for years, and now the Sin Eaters are the essentially light scent. And as such, I'm a little hesitant to make Anima a Sin Eater, although I think aesthetically it makes a lot of sense. And I think that even Anima's backstory in Final Fantasy X and how it came to exist even somewhat represents the name Sin Eater to some degree, especially being Final Fantasy X related. I mean, you can't deny that sort of, I guess, comparison between Anima and Sin Eater, you know? I kind of hope they don't, only because I want the character to be more interesting, and I would like to see Anima actually develop out of a character and not just be some random Sin Eater beast that's a reference back to Final Fantasy X. I wouldn't be surprised to see it turn out like that. I think there is a high probability of us seeing Anima, and especially as a Sin Eater, in this expansion. This is the expansion to do it, I feel. On to the next one. Hey, Haps. How you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm tired. First time asking yourself a bonus of a usable White Mage job gauge. Ooh, oh, that burns. Anyway, so I'm a WoW refugees. I've been playing a while, and when I started, I bought a boost. My question is, what should I go back and do from A Realm Reborn and Heavensward? What parts of those expansions are either really important or just something you think is worth? Number one is the Crystal Tower. The next expansion, Shadowbringers, is going to be heavily involved with the Crystal Tower. It's present very often in the final trailer. We've even been told on the official Lodestone. If you have not done it, go do it, because it's important for the story of the expansion. So number one is that. Everything else, it kind of depends. Coil, as much as you can unsync it and roll through, if you haven't seen the cutscenes to Coil, it is one of the best stories, contained stories within Final Fantasy XIV, and a conclusion to what was the main plot of the end of 1.0. So it gives even a little bit of closure for the game that no longer exists. I'd say that the Warring Triad is another one you should, and this is in Heavensward, that's a big one that you should get involved in, because it talks about the different shards other than the source, which is another big topic going into Shadowbringers. I think Alexander's story wraps up pretty well, similar to Coil's. It's okay for self-contained, but it takes a long time for Alexander's story to really get going. Also, I find that it's not really super important for you to do the 24-man in Heavensward. Not super important, but more stuff on the world and on the Void Scent. That's cool to know, but oh, sorry, I hit my mic with my thumb. Isn't nearly as important as all the other things I've named. So I'd say Crystal Tower is number one, Coil number two, the Warring Triad number three, and Alexander number four. Those are things that I would go back and do for certain. Anything else is kind of up to you. There's a lot of world building and lore to be told in all the quests, and I've done no justice to those things by leaving them out. But I think those four things are really important, and in that order. Next question. Hey Haps, off again, on again player viewer here, and don't know if this has been asked. Some time ago, the developers had a forum thread on players and asking players what kind of quality of life improvements could be made. What are 3 quality of life improvements you would like to see implemented in Shadowbringers? This sounds like a video idea. However, I will of course answer it here. One of mine is to be able to access all my retainers' inventory at once. That's a great one. Wasn't going to be one of my 3 recommendeds, but definitely one I've seen before, and definitely one that would be amazing. 3 quality of life. You know, when you ask me, when you put me on the spot like this, it is actually kind of hard to come up with them. Okay, big one for me, and this is very personal to me. It's not something I think not everyone will agree with. I wish there was a tick box for the use of Aetheryte tickets to determine whether or not I wanted it to ask me if I wanted to use them. So basically, every time you teleport and you have an Aetheryte ticket in your inventory, it'll ask you if you want to use it. I want a little option at the bottom that says, do not ask again. And then it's like a setting you can turn off someplace else. That way, every time I teleport, it just knows to use it. That way, I don't have to deal with that extra menu. So that's definitely number one. Number 2... Oh, see, they've added so many of them. The ones that I used to ask about. That's a big one, though. Number 2, quality of life improvement, is a limited time, one-time use ability to refund a piece of armor you purchased with tomestones that are weekly capped. So let's say you purchased the wrong piece, or in that same week, maybe you're just in the first 2 or 3 weeks of raiding, and you find a static, and that week you just bought something, but now you want to refund and get something else. Or maybe you just bought something and then a better piece just dropped for you that fills the same slot, and you can refund that. I think it would kind of throw off the balance of gear progression, but I don't think that's that important in Final Fantasy XIV to the point where we can't have that as a potential quality of life thing. And number 3... number 3 is tough. I'm not ready for this. I feel like I had one when you first asked me the question, and now I don't know what the third one will be. I was so impressed by yours. Not gonna lie. I was just so impressed with yours that it's kind of hard for me to, I guess, formulate it. Man, I don't know if I have a third one. Not on this, I guess, tense of a time frame. Peaches. Yeah, we still never got Peaches. That's not quality of life, but give me Peaches. Next question. Hi, Mr. Happy. Longtime viewer, never asked a question before, but I have one for you. In your opinion, do you think the community will ever get a daunting sense of pressing danger from future content in Final Fantasy XIV? I think most of the Final Fantasy games, including 11, gave that ominous sense that something is wrong. 1.0 having its blatant issues did offer a more pressing feeling within the world in my opinion. Heavensward was the only time I felt like the world really needed my help and everything else just fell flat and dull. Just my own opinion, what do you think? I think that moments like the end of 3.5 with the Dalamud in the sky, which is of course an exact replica of what happened back in 1.0, are excellent for world building. In fact, I find that whenever we have things like the Void Ark tucked away in 3. Yeah, I mean, these are a lot of Heavensward examples. People first spotting the Void Ark in the distance in the sky in the sea of clouds, that was ominous. Everyone was like, whoa, what the heck is that? We didn't know anything about the 24-man raid series at that point. We didn't know about the Shadows of Mach storyline. And while it didn't necessarily end up, I guess, being as threatening as we perceived, that unknown, that mystery, leaving us just wondering for months and months was just amazing for the amount of excitement it created amongst the community. So yes, I very much feel that they need to better capture moments like this, and even just give us like little teasers and mysteries that, you know, maybe we can speculate on, because it breeds a lot more discussion. And by sticking those things in the game more directly, like with the Void Ark, as opposed to, you know, sticking random figures on the world map, it is more pressing, as you've stated. It feels as if it's something that's going to be an immediate problem, not something we don't worry about or maybe don't have to think about for literally years at a time. Something I feel like they've done wrong in regards to Omega being set up in 2.3, and then the Warrior of Darkness and the Shard and the first Shard being set up in 3.2 and 3.4. I want these matters to feel more pressing. And I feel like the Dragon Song War is, as you've stated, one of the times they've got it absolutely nailed. So I hope they can capture it again. I think the first will do a good job of it, especially in the zone Amarang. I feel Azaz Law, again, gives you that sense of dread, especially whenever Ultima Weapon actually pops up and starts flying around there. But I feel like specifically the Amarang zone and maybe the Lakeland, I feel like those areas might give you that feeling that you're looking for, that there's something very wrong here, and something that is about to literally, I guess, implode and cause a massive amount of destruction. And I hope. I'm on your side. I hope that happens. Next question. Hey, Haps. Question. Hello, person. Answer. The mentor system has been around for a while, and although it seems active, I don't feel there's enough rewards to justify including it in my daily roulette. What would you like to see improved within the rewards for joining Mentor Roulette, and where do you feel it's going in the future? I'd love to hear your thoughts and keep up the hard work. So the Mentor Roulette for me is honestly one of the failed ideas of Final Fantasy XIV. In theory, it should be pretty good. You know, players that sign up to, you know, be a leading force for another player. I've seen it work in other games. I've also seen it fall completely flat in other games. I feel like it does here too. First of all, before I go on this tangent, I absolutely believe that, I guess it's not really a tangent, but I absolutely believe there are people out there who wear the Mentor crown who are doing a really good service, and that those people should absolutely be rewarded, perhaps more than they currently are, for their efforts, because you're essentially signing up to be, I guess, a people person, to be a leader, to be someone who guides newer players in the right direction. But what happens the most time is some people just want a fucking fancy crown next to their name, and it annoys the hell out of me. I'm not a mentor in game because I do my YouTube videos and I'll answer questions on Twitch, but I don't want a crown in game to designate me as such because I don't feel like I need it. I'd also as you stated, don't really feel like I care for the rewards in the roulette, so you're on to something there. I don't know what they would actually do to improve it. Maybe add some more rewards before the giant mount at the end. Perhaps offer more, I guess, something that isn't really level appropriate for that. Maybe materia, or maybe a set amount of gil that mentors can earn for their harder efforts. Like maybe if you finish a mentor roulette, depending on, you get an amount of gil depending on what kind of content it was. So what if it's like an extreme primal, like Titan Extreme? But then you have to worry about 8 mentors, or I guess people trying to abuse the queue into that. So there's issues, but I feel as if they can be circumvented. The issues can be circumvented. So yeah, I think the whole mentor system is just, it's not strict enough because it doesn't check if you're actually knowledgeable, just checks that you've spent a lot of time playing the game, and thus assumes because of that you're knowledgeable. I've seen people just say the weirdest things as mentors, and I'm like, I can't do this. And I've seen mentors who are just toxic, like, fuck you, I just wanted the crown. You think I give a shit about this? It's like, yo, then you shouldn't have it. That should just be how it is. But I don't know, I've lost kind of all hope for the mentor system, and I kind of just appreciate the few of you who are out there doing a good job, and God bless the rest of you, or God help the rest of you. Alright, as I am tired, like I said, I probably was going to answer a few less questions this week, unless I'm going to get into the end of that. So I'm going to take a couple of shorter questions if I can find them, and then we'll probably call it a day. This one is a TLDR, so I am going to skip right to that. Good Easter morning to you, Haps. Not a first-time asker, but it's a holiday, so have a bonus of your favorite candy, and skip down if short on time. Appreciate that a lot. It means a lot when people consider time like that. Although it's not so much my time, it's just tired. That's all it is. Could you give us your thoughts on how each data center will look after the server shuffle? Where might different types of players, where they're hardcore players, hardcore casuals, or role players, find a community that best fits their needs? I think at this point, while Crystal is not necessarily the role play data center, meaning it's not the only thing you can do there, I think Crystal is the clear-cut role-playing place to be, because both of the role-playing servers, both unofficial role-playing servers, which I believe are Balmung and Mateus, those are both going to Crystal. So role-playing, definitely Crystal. If you want the hardcorest of hardcore raiders, though, I have a hard time picking between Ether and Primal. Yes, you could argue Elysium, who has been, in the world race for years and years, is on Ether, therefore it should automatically qualify. I feel like a lot of people don't give credit to the Primal raiding scene. It is not in any way, I feel, less hardcore than the Ether one. Ever since Leviathan rose up as a major contender as a raid server, especially when Gilgamesh was locked earlier in the expansion, I just feel as if there's really no better one that's better than the other. It's just whichever you actually find a static on if you're willing to server transfer. And that's the same goes for hardcore casuals, because I've had such similar experiences across both data centers. Although I've had definitely more, I guess, harassment on Primal, but that's just, I know people have had the same thing on Ether. I think Ether and Primal are very much equals after this split, and Crystal's the one that needs to define itself. I think Crystal will have some really good raid teams and some really good raid communities there, and I feel like the role players who are also into raiding will probably kind of rise up, because now they have to kind of be at the forefront of developing the raid scene on their data center. But I think that it is also, while I don't think it'll be a problem to raid on Crystal, I think it is also clearly more for people who are into role playing. And so that hopefully clears up at least what my thoughts are about the split that's coming this Tuesday. All right, I saw the word short. It's not a short amount of text, but I could technically answer the question without reading all the context. So, hey, Haps, I hope you had a good Easter weekend. Same to you. I just have a short and easy question. What do you think of the idea of Square letting those who have pre-purchased the next expansion have access to the new jobs like 2 weeks to a month early? This way, if someone wants the main dancer or gunbreaker, they can get it to 70, and they don't have to grind those 10 levels when the new content's already out. Kind of like how when you pre-purchase BFA for WoW, you could access the 2 new races. I think they also did the same thing with Legion for Demon Hunter, whatever it was called. I don't remember. It's been a long time and need more caffeine. I'll finish this soon. I'm okay with the idea. I at the very least think that it would be okay to release the jobs 2 weeks early, so players can do the initial quest to unlock them, which historically, the quest to unlock them has had an instance and has caused issues with the congestion of the servers. I think getting that out of the way a couple weeks early would actually be beneficial to the full launch / early access of it altogether. I think that letting them level 60 to 70, I'm 50-50 on that. I guess just because it doesn't serve the, narrative that I've created. So it kind of just, I guess, a biased opinion on my side. I think that leveling them should probably be left for the expansion, especially because of Gunbreaker being a tank. I feel like the tank queues and saving those for a couple of weeks are incredibly valuable. And yes, I know 70 to 80 would still be available, but 60 to 70 is also important because there are also people who are playing Dancer who need that additional help with the tank leveling. And on top of that, we need to make sure it's just about a matter of balancing the number of people who are queuing for any specific type of content, and having some people that are going into content that's a little bit lower of a level is a bit healthier for the game, as opposed to getting everyone who's already playing the game and is not brand new just this little bit of a head start, ahead of the head start they're already getting. I feel like it's a little too much, but at least the ability to unlock them and play them at level 60 would be okay. It was kind of what I was hoping they were going to do with Blue Mage when they said it would be limited before they told us. I was like, oh, they'll probably just let us play it, as earlier levels, and then, to fully release this. That's not going to be the case, but I kind of wish that scenario I'm describing is how they would handle these jobs. All right, one more after this question, because this one is really short. Hey, Haps, hope you have a good week. Thank you. Question for #Mondays with Mr. Happy. With the increased number of these so-called WoW refugees, would you consider hosting State of the Realm with those refugees as guests? Not exactly to compare two games, but more to get a picture of their opinion and impression after playing 14 right now. Yeah, it's been something that's been a thought. There's one in particular that I have in mind, and I'm sure that person knows who they are as soon as they hear me say this, so they're probably doing an eyes emoji. And then I have a couple of ideas of other people who are a bit more hardcore and still into WoW and their perception of WoW's problems and what, I guess, almost what like Square Enix could do to avoid having the same problems in the future. Because, just because it's happening to Blizzard now doesn't mean they're the only ones it has to happen to. We could end up in a BFA situation ourselves at some point, and it could feel unrecoverable like some people feel WoW is right now. And we don't want that. So I feel like it's an important discussion topic to have, and it's definitely under consideration. And this last one comes from one of our Patreon sponsors, so I'll make sure that I get that in as the final question. Sorry for anyone whose questions I didn't get to, but don't forget, before I answer this one, go ask your questions in the description, in the comment section of the video below, because then I'll have a chance at answering them. So, hey Haps, Serafina Edelise here. Appreciate it, but no big deal. People say my in-game name so many different ways. I try. Alas, I do have a question, which I'm sure you've been asked a few times. First time bonus, so early access 2 weeks earlier. If only, right? Yeah, I know. I'm wanting to dive into the world of 14 content creation. I wanted to know if you feel there's a certain personality character trait needed, more so than just being interesting or funny. So this is definitely not a short answer, but I'll try to make it short because I'm tired. I don't think there's a specific personality or character trait that's required, other than, I guess, a personal character trait, one that you wouldn't even necessarily display publicly, of being willing to put in the work. Don't just jump into. A lot of people jump in, they have no foundation, and this is not just in 14 content creation, but in everything. They jump in, they have no foundation, and they're immediately thinking about getting more people. And it's like, but you don't have anything to bring to people yet. It's like if you wanted to start selling a product and you just like, I need to get as many people to hear this as possible, but you didn't have a product yet. That's pretty much the equivalent of what a lot of people ask. So being willing to put in the work means to build that foundation first, and then it means to kind of recognize what your own strengths are, what your own weaknesses are, and always play to your strengths. You don't need to be a different person. And the Final Fantasy XIV content creation and everyone we have in it is huge proof of that. We have our mega goofballs that everybody loves to hate stuff with, like Larry and Tate, who not only crack you up, but make you remember, yeah, you know what, I do hate that thing. Yeah, we're on the same side of this. Then you have the hardcore of people like Xenos, people who are really into that raid scene and all about peak performance. They don't have to change who they are. That's just who they are, and those are the brands that they play to. And there's nothing to say they should be different than who they are. I'm of the opinion, and this is how I conduct myself, is I'm very much about I let emotions play a role from time to time. I obviously need to, because I need to be able to laugh, I need to be able to smile, I need to be able to, I guess pull enjoyment from the things that I'm saying and the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm stating. But I also need to make sure that when it comes to I guess the most important things, that I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collected, and I'm professional. Because I want to maintain business relationships with people, and I want to be able to appeal to a mass audience. I want the hardcore raiders to maybe come and look at me and go, maybe not that guy, but oh, that's actually interesting that happened right there. You have the casual person who comes by and goes, oh, wow, I didn't know any of this. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. You have the people who are just kind of in the middle, who either enjoy listening or just learning something new because they're not super hardcore and there's still plenty for them to enjoy. And then even the people who maybe don't want to play the game anymore and are frustrated, I want them to be able to come to me and be like, I'm frustrated at this. And while I may not necessarily have the same opinion as them, that's me. That's my personality trait, is I want everyone to be happy. No pun intended. It's not even where the name actually came from either. I just want people to feel like it's a community, and thus, as long as you're not a raving lunatic that's literally shitting on everyone else's joys and desires, that you should feel welcome. And I hope that I've managed to do that over the years, even with my sometimes moodier responses to things than they should be. Well, it's got to be honest. You got to be honest about your character flaws. So just be persistent and stick true to yourself. I think it's worked for everyone in the 14 content creation. I think it's led to a great amount of diversity that only continues to expand. And who knows, you could be the next person to expand into it. So just go in with a high head and low expectations, because I know I came in with low expectations. I got lucky, let's be honest. Anyway, that's going to be a wrap for Mondays with Mr. Happy this week. So again, if you have questions, be sure to ask them in the comment section of the video below, and I will do my best to get to them next week, or hopefully I'm a little bit less tired. But other than that, I don't have anything else. Thank you again to our Patreon sponsors. And again, be sure to tune in the State of the Realm if you entered that NVIDIA GeForce 2060 giveaway, because we are going to be pulling the second of 4 winners this Tuesday, and then releasing another giveaway in a couple days. So hopefully you guys are into that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see all of you next week for Mondays with Mr. Happy. And until then, take care.